Hello, grade sevens. Today we are quickly going to look at term one and term two's revision for preparation for your exam. I want to just let you know that it's very, very important. This is only like summarized, very low detailed slides. And just to refresh your memory about term one and term two's work, you have to go through your textbook, you have to go through your notes in your writing book, you have to go through all the other notes on Google Classroom as well. This is really just revision and like the basics that you need to know. But as well as this is a very good indication to tell you what you need to know. Okay, so the slide introduces the MRC GREN, so Mrs. Green. Basically, this is how you can remember it for the seven life processes. This is on Google. Everyone says this is the best way to um understand it. It's the Mrs. Green. Do you see MRS? Mrs. Green. I don't know how you want to say it, but to remember the seven life processes. So it's movement, respiration, sensitivity, growth, reproduction, excretion, and nutrition. The other way how I remember it, I will say I will imagine a woman giving birth, so it's reproduction. Then the baby immediately, if the baby comes out of the mother, it starts to movement, and respiration, to breathe. As soon as the mother touches the baby and the baby feels the mother, that sensitivity, the baby starts to eat on the mama, like drink the milk on the mother, and that is nutrition. As soon as the baby has nutrition, drinks the milk, it will excrete. What do you call it, when waste goes out of the body, and then after eating for a while the baby will start to grow. So I will close my eyes, and that's the seven life processes. I will close my eyes, I will think of that story, and then you know exactly what the seven life processes are. If one thing, like any object, anything in life doesn't have one of these seven stuff, it is not living. Then you say, but ma'am, a plant is living and it doesn't move. It does move. It what do you call, as it grows, moves, because it goes, if you see a vine, if you plant it next to, say, a wall, it will move with the wall to grow according to that wall or stick, and so forth. So any living thing will have all seven life processes. To determine whether something is alive, ask yourself, does it move? Does it have a respiration? So can it breathe on its own? And so forth. Can it feed, grow, react to its environment, reproduce, eliminate waste? If the answer is yes to all this, it is definitely living. You can also see a few examples of how and what the seven life processes are. But as I said, it's either Mrs. Green, or you can close your eyes, remember the story, or you can just remember it as it is there. So our planet is divided into four mainly layers or spheres. All life sits within the biosphere, but it depends on the atmosphere, air, hydrosphere, water, and lithosphere, soil or rocks. Guys, always remember, atmosphere is the air around us. Everyone knows what's the atmosphere. It's the air we breathe in. Hydrosphere, anything, remember I told you, anything hydro has water. So hydrosphere is the water, and then lithosphere is the anything that is left is rocks and soil and ground. Okay, so the earth has four spheres, and that's what they are called. Abiotic factors and non-living things like water, temperature, and soil affect where life can exist. So without abiotic factors, um, they won't be able to, humans and anything living won't be able to live there. These all work together with biotic factors, plants and animals, to create life supporting the ecosystem. Do you see how important it is to know your definitions? So, abiotic is non living, biotic is living, and they interact with each other, work together so that everyone can live in an environment. Yeah, I just wanted to show you how all the spheres work in a community to make each other like livable. So the lithosphere is there, it's the ground, but it always also goes into the water, hydrosphere, into the sea, into the rivers, and so forth. And then the atmosphere is all air around us. And everything together combined is the biosphere. So the biosphere is everything, the water, the air, and the ground, the earth together. Okay, here's more examples of the seven life processes and why it is so important to know it. Um, I know we did it in full detail on the previous slide, so I'm not going to go into it too much. But yeah, if you want to reread it again, you're more than welcome. Okay, vertebrates and invertebrates. So you need to know the difference between the two. Animals are grouped into vertebrates, those with backbones, like humans, fish, birds, and invertebrates, which include insects, snails, and jellyfish. While most people think vertebrates first and then invertebrates actually make up 97% of the animal species on Earth. So there are more invertebrates than there are vertebrates. So one has a backbone, the vertebrates has backbones. For example, mammals, birds, reptiles, sorry guys. So it's frogs and fish and cows, humans, anything with a backbone and a skeleton on the inside. And invertebrates are no backbone, so they don't have a backbone. Often has a exoskeleton or a soft body, like for example, this earthworm underneath. Examples are insects, spiders, worms, jellyfish, and so forth. So you need to know the difference between the two. One has a backbone and the endoskeleton, and then the other one has no skeleton or an exoskeleton or a very soft body. Okay, so plant diversity. Remember, diversity means different. So plants vary by how they transport water and reproduce. Mosses rely on spores and lack roots, while ferns have vessels but still use spores. Gymnosperms produces seeds in cones, and angiosperms, following flowering plants, so ones with flowers, cover their seeds inside fruit. Drawing a table like this on the bottom can help you remember the differences. So you need to know the different parts of a flower, the different types of flowers, what type of flowers we get, which ones have seeds, how does the seeds look, how do they reproduce. Okay guys, this is very important. We covered big chapter of this in your books. I posted lots of videos about plant diversity in Google Classroom, as well as I took you outside and showed you exactly how the reproduction of plants take place. I don't know if you remember it, but I took it to that red flower outside of my classroom. Here's a diagram that you can screenshot. You can pause the video quickly and take a screenshot to see the different types of plants. Here it is, plants that grow seeds and plants that don't grow seeds. And then they are also the angiosperm and the gymnosperm, and what types, where the seeds come from, how does the seeds um, cover and protect themselves, and so forth. So please take a photo of this and study it as well as in your textbook. Okay, so the reproduction process. So pollination. is pollen lands on the stigma via wind, insects, or animals. So pollen will fall on that stigma. Follow the sketch on the left side so I can explain it to you. So pollen falls on the stigma. Then fertilization takes place. The pollen tube grows down the style, and the sperm fertilizes the egg in the ovary on in the flower. Now we are talking about this flower on the left. Seed formation. So what then happens? Fertilized ovule becomes a seed. The ovary becomes then a fruit, and that flower turns into a fruit because that whole ovary will then turn into a big fruit. It is very important that you know all these parts of the flower. So basically, the um pollen falls on the stigma. Then that pollen will go down, down, down the style and down the pollen tube, and it will grow in the style from the sperm, and it will fertilize the egg there in the ovary. Okay, that yellow dot in the ovary, the seed becomes fertilized, and a fruit will begin to grow. I hope you understand it. You have to know this diagram sketch. Okay. The reproduction process again, I just want to show you here how it is. As you can see on this left, on the right side, the flower reproduction. Now you can see exactly how it goes down. So let's dig into the sexual reproduction in flowering plants. Okay, so here you can see um how the pollen takes place, how um the pollen will fall into that stigma, the pistil, and it will go down, 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 where that blue dot is, where fertilization will take place. Then, after fertilization took place, the sperm and the egg mixed. The in the embryo sac, you can see outside of the flower now, but everything that's happening here with the arrows will actually happen inside. So I just want to remember, let you remember it. I will also add a video on Google Classroom how you can see it more in depth. But basically, then a zygote will form, then an embryo, the seed, and then after germinating the seed, there will a small leaf will start getting out, and a new flower will form, and the whole process will start over again. This is why you need to know the parts of your plant. I can give you a plant and say name the parts. It's very, very important. Remember, wind, water, animals, and humans are reasons why flowers can reproduce if it's not self pollination, because remember, there's certain plants that can self pollinate. Okay, the human reproduction and puberty. So during puberty, the hormones trigger the physical change in both sexes, so both um, male and female. Boys grow facial hair and their voices deepen. Girls develop breast and start menstruation. This is just two of the most common ones at both genders. The menstrual cycle prepares the body for pregnancy. So that's why the menstrual cycle is so important, and why women, girls have it and boys not, because only girls can get pregnant, and that's why women have the menstrual cycle. If no fertilization occurs, so there's no, the woman isn't pregnant, the uterine lining shades and the cycle repeats. So I don't know if you can see in here in this sketch where the female reproductive organ is, that whole lining will shed and the cycle will repeat. You need to remember that this work is only summarized. You have to learn all the diagrams and work in detail in your textbook. So, this is only like literally the summarized version of what's in your textbooks. Um, Day 1 to 5 is menstruation, day 6 to 14 is the uterine line thickening, day 14 is ovulation. That's the best time to get pregnant. Day 14 to 28 is the lining maintained till pregnancy or menstrual bleeding resumes if there's no sperm and egg connecting and fertilization doesn't take place. Okay, guys, you need to know this work. This is very important. I know it's not always very nice to learn this work, but it's very important for you to know. Okay, variation in humans. Variation means differences and different kinds. So as we know, variation means no two people are exactly alike. Even if you're identical twins, you do not look exactly the same. Okay, nobody looks exactly the same. Genes determine eye color and blood type, but the environment, like diet and language exposure, also shapes us. So, yes, how your mom, you got your eyes from your mom and your nose from your dad, but the environment where you live will also determine how you are. Some traits like height vary consciously, others like blood types are distinct categories. Remember, the environment can't say what type of blood type you are, but how your weight is can. If your parents can say you are less fortunate and you can only eat bread every day because it's a cheaper alternative for food, then you will gain lots of weight. For people that can rather like eat from Woolies, eat the most healthiest but nice salads and stuff, then they will won't pick up so much weight as usual. Otherwise, people with lots of money can buy lots of pizzas and McDonald's and takeaways and stuff. Then they will gain more weight. So your environment, the people you interact with and surround yourself with, has a lot to do about how you look. With genes and your DNA and how your father, your mom, your grandparents, and so forth look. Okay, properties of materials. When choosing a material for something like a toaster, you check if it can withstand heat, strength, if it can hold its shape under stress, flexibility, and whether it can conduct electricity or require insulation. Pot handles need insulating materials to keep them cool, while wires need conductive metals like copper. For instance, and what I'm trying to say here, remember I used the example a lot about if it's a pot, we will give plastic handles or a metal pot. You will have plastic or wood handles to move the pot up from one plate to a different plate, because you can't touch that metal part because you will burn yourself. But the wood or the plastic, what do you call it, handles, won't be so hot. Why? Because it's not a good conductor of heat. Exactly the same with electrical wires. It is covered with plastic, so we can't shock. Why can't we shock if we touch that electrical wires? Because that plastic that it's covered with is not good conductors of electricity, so the electricity can't pass through it. So it helps us to keep safe. So metals are good conductors of, of heat and electricity, and non-metals are not good conductors of electricity and heat, and you have to go and look at all the properties. What is the strength? What is flexibility? What is brittle? What is hardness? What is everyday examples? I can ask you, give me a good example of what is a metal, what is a non-metal, where is it on the periodic table, and so forth. You need to know all these properties. It's very, very important. Okay, separation of mixtures. Not all mixtures are separated the same way. So, different kinds of mixtures will be separated in different ways. We use filtration for solids and liquids, evaporation for dissolved solids, distillation for purifying liquids, and um, we can use different other types like sieving, distillation, evaporation, or filtration, hand separating, different ways to separate different stuff. You won't filtrate, say I have a packet of Smarties. You won't use filtration to make to sort out the different colors of Smarties, but you will use a filter to separate solids from liquids. So that's why we get different separation methods. You need to know what is each separation method and why we use that certain separation method for for that certain mixture. Remember, any mixture can be taken apart, but if it's an element itself, it can't be taken apart. A mixture is lots of elements mixed together. Okay, let's look at the periodic table. The periodic table is organized so elements with similar traits are grouped together. Metals are usually on the left and center side of the periodic table, and they shine, conduct heat and electricity, while non-metals on the right side of the periodic table are poor conductors and are brittle. By knowing where an element sits, you can predict its properties. So I want you to also look at this block here, carbon. Um, the number 6 will represent the atomic number. The element's name is then carbon. The symbol C means every element has its own symbol, and then underneath is the atomic mass. So you will always have the atomic number on top and the atomic mass down below. Okay, what I also want to tell you, groups are in columns. So elements with similar properties, like group 1 is an alkali metal. In periods, they go in rows. So they increase by the atomic number and the same number of electrons and protons. Okay, and then also I want to tell you, columns, the groups go vertical, and periods, rows, go horizontal. Here is a good picture diagram of the periodic table. By using this diagram, you can see where the different groups are on the periodic table by using the keys and the colors of each element. As you can see there, if I say a noble gas, then it will be that purple ones in group 8, the last group. Please remember, hydrogen is a non-metal, but it is on the left side of the periodic table. But remember, the dividing line starts there with hydrogen. So hydrogen is the only non-metal on the left side. Other non-metals will then be on the right side, and it will be divided by the divided line where it is metalloids. Okay, where it is going down. You all made that stripe in your periodic table in that's pasted in your book. Okay, guys, good luck. Thank you for working so hard. Remember to come and ask me anytime at anything at any time. I hope you did well, and if you have any other questions, please come to me. Good luck with your exams, and I hope you all do good.